Have you ever had one of those fishing trips where you think I finally figured them out? You find a couple good spots, you catch some fish, maybe you even figure out what they're biting, and you leave that day feeling pretty good about yourself. You think you got it figured out. Well, I had this happen to me when I went out fishing on one of my trips. I found some fish, I found some areas where they were holding, and I had a really good day. So naturally, a couple weeks later, I went back and I fished those same areas. And guess what? Nothing. So I went back the next morning thinking that I could get them on a morning bite, thinking they were full from the evening or they were feeding the day before. Same thing. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. And I started asking myself, where the heck did all the fish go? But here's the thing. The fish didn't just disappear. They moved. I think this is something a lot of us do. We start catching a bunch of fish in a certain area, and then we think, this is the fish spot. This is where they're at. This is where they're going to be. There's the point that I caught them at. Over there is the tree that I caught one before. Right there is that weed bed that they were stacked on top of. And we remember it. And then we come back a couple weeks later and we expect those fish to still be there in those spots. But the fish don't know that we have a favorite spot. The fish aren't thinking, hey guys, he's coming back next Saturday. Get over here. They are reacting to their environment. And the environment is constantly changing. The water, the weather, the temperature, the bait, they all move, they all change. Even the time of year will change what the fish are trying to do. So if all of those things change, why would we expect the fish to stay exactly where we want them to be? This is where my fishing experience really opened my eyes. The first time I went out, I had a really good day. I found some fish, I caught them consistently, and I thought, man, I finally dialed in on them. I'm getting really confident in these spots. I know how to approach them. I know how to sneak in there. Heck, I even know what branch that I need to cast under. And there's always one sitting right there. But this time that I went out, they weren't. The next day I went out, they weren't there. I wasn't marking them on the fish finder. I wasn't getting any bites. So naturally, I started questioning myself. Is it my bait? Is it my tackle? Is it my finesse? Is it my retrieve? Should I speed it up? Should I slow it down? Should I change colors? What is it? And you can start going down those rabbit holes pretty quickly. But maybe the question you should be asking yourself is, what's different about the lake? And that's a completely different way of looking at it. Fish don't just disappear. Think about a bass for a second. Think about their behavior. Think about what they have to do to survive every single day. The fish doesn't wake up and think, I'm going to sit in this exact same spot for the next 3 months. They are looking for food. They're reacting to temperature. They're reacting to oxygen in the water. They are reacting to light. They are reacting to bait fish. And those things change. The fish change. Sometimes that might mean moving deeper. Sometimes that might mean moving shallower. Sometimes they're suspending. Sometimes they want to be deep in the cover. And other times they can significantly move from an area completely. And that's why I think if we learn why the fish is somewhere versus remembering where we caught them is a better approach. Because if I tell you I caught a bass on that point, that doesn't tell you very much. But if I tell you that I caught a bass on this point when the wind was blowing and the bait fish were being pushed up into some structure, that would be totally different. We should be learning patterns. And that's something I'm trying to get better at myself. Instead of remembering where I caught this fish, I'm trying to think, why are they here right now? What was the weather, temperature, wind? What was it doing? Where was the current? Is there structure nearby? How cool is the water? If we find cool water, if we find current within these lakes and bodies of water, the oxygen levels will be higher in the summer. If we can combine cold water, current and then some structure, if I was a fish, I'd want to be there too. I wouldn't want to be up on the bank getting boiled. All of those things matter, and I'm not saying you're going to find them and it's going to work every single time. But if you go to those spots that you think fish are normally holding because you caught them there before and they're not, well, now it's a time to learn. Now it's a time to push yourself away from your normal routine and do something totally different. Pay attention to the environment again, because you're gonna find fish in different areas. And I'm not saying you're gonna figure it out every time, because you won't, but that's part of fishing. Sometimes you think everything is right and you still get skunked. But instead of thinking of it as a wasted day, look at it as another piece of information. I think that's one of the things I love the most about fishing. You're never done learning. And we gotta remember, it is called fishing, not catching. You can fish the same body of water for years and it will still humble you. You can catch them one day and come back the next thinking we're the fish abducted. But that's what makes it interesting. You're putting the puzzle pieces together. That's why we don't go to a pay and fish place. We're anglers. We're sportsmen. We're in it for the love of the game. That's why when we go out fishing and we're out there a very long time and we finally get one, we're super excited because we've been waiting, we've been anticipating, we've been learning, we have been trying. And when you go out fishing, you're not trying to figure out what they were doing last week, last month. You're trying to figure out what they're doing today. This is the time you have to go. Let's make the best of it. That also goes into something else. Start looking at your weather and the moon and other things to plan your trips if you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just gotta do your best with what you got. But if you're able to, try to plan for your best success. Try to plan your trips for the best weather, the best conditions. So the next time you go out to that spot where you absolutely crush them and you can't get a bite, don't immediately assume it's you or the lure stopped working or the color's different or the color isn't working. Summertime is a very tough time to fish because everyone is fishing. Everyone has the same idea. Now is your chance to break away from the herd. Do something different. Sometimes you have to study the people. Sometimes you have to study the anglers, not just the fish. Go to different spots. Get away from the crowd. Don't be like everyone else. Sometimes when the fishing gets really tough, you'll go try that spot where you never get nothing and they're there. But that's when you want to remember the conditions and all the information. So you know when it's raining, they're going to hold there. You know when it's a cold front, they're going to hold there. You know when it's this, it's going to be there. You have to start doing things methodically as an angler. And the better you get at understanding why they move, the better you're going to get at finding them. That's the real goal. Not necessarily memorizing fishing spots and baits, but putting it all together for each individual spot. Finding new spots, teaching yourself how to find new spots based off of conditions. And I'm still learning this myself. That's part of the fun. Every trip gives us an opportunity to learn something. Sometimes we catch them and sometimes we don't. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, comment below, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's one fishing spot that you normally go to, you went there, and it seems like they just totally disappeared. Because I would love to hear your stories, and until next time, fish on, take care.